I want to welcome the GMs and the wives, the godly men and the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women out there. In today's video topic on the Regal Change YouTube channel, and for those that are just joining, my name is Thaddeus. We're going to talk today about how godly men do not wait for unappreciative women. It's become gradually more clear to me that a lot of women don't seem to understand the difference between counseling a man and trying to control him. And this is something that godly men are looking toward. Godly men are looking for women that are capable of counsel, not necessarily trying to control him, because ultimately you're not going to be able to control a truly godly man. Now, in Isaiah 4:1, it does say that there will be 7 women that cling unto one man in the end of the days, saying that we will make our own bread and have our own clothes, only just let us be called by thy name. Well, what exactly does this mean? It means that the women in the end of times will want to cling to the godly man that will be able to redeem, or at least have the potential to pour his spirit into the woman. And I've already had things like this happen in my own life, where it's like there are so many women that want to be in my life now. There's more women that want to be in my life than I want to be in theirs. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying to brag or anything. It's simply the fact of the matter. And this is not something that was ever really the case at any other part of my life apart from the last couple of years. And so what I've found is that men with options, right? Men with options don't need to play games. And men with an abundance mindset and a mindset of, I play to win, they don't need to play games. However, no matter who you are as a man, you're going to have to deal with some kind of form of game from a woman. And it's because women created the game. Like, women have created the game in the first place. A lot of men think that women don't have game, and it's like, I automatically know that you are not, or have not been introduced to the to the quote unquote like underground, the sexual underground in our society. You have not been introduced there, because women, in my experience, they know exactly what they're doing a lot of the time. They're trying to get you to have feelings for them without you actually committing, or them actually committing, rather. And you're trying to get them to commit while you're failing in trying to do so most of the time as a man. If you're trying to get a woman to commit to you, you're probably failing in some way, shape, or form aspect of your life. And it's not because you're negative, or you don't want to get married or whatever, or the long-term relationship. It's more so that the woman ought to want to be more involved with you and committed to you than you her as a man. And I understand that this might be triggering to some women, but it is what it is. And godly men with spiritual authority, they don't need to wait for you women, okay? They just simply don't. Because God grants us the authority. Remember in Passion of the Christ, where like Jesus was in front of the crowd, and he was about to be sentenced to the cross, right? And the people were saying, we want Barnabas. We want Barnabas. Because in their eyes, Barnabas, who was a criminal, by the way, was more acceptable than the person that was claiming to be the Messiah. And at the time, the Roman emperor said, look, Jesus, like, I have the power to set you free. You know, if you're innocent, I have the power to set you free. And Jesus, in the Passion of the Christ, the movie, says, you have no power over me except that which God has given unto you. And this is the same thing for everybody on the planet of Earth. We have no true power, spiritually speaking, except that which God has given unto us. And the reason that godly men are not waiting for these unappreciative women is because a lot of the women out here are not, they're just not ready to be the wives. They're not ready to be the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women. They're not ready to be that kind of person in a man's life, because in our society, we're teaching women that getting the bag is more valuable than family. And to men, we're basically saying that, well, you're disposable. We don't need you anymore. And it would be hilarious to me to see how often you find that women do most of what they do only for validation and attention. And I'm not saying it's wrong or it's bad to do so. I'm just saying that that's, in reality, a lot of the times exactly what it is. The only reason that they're doing what they're doing is to try to get the attention of the men that they actually value themselves. So if they're getting attention from the men that they value and they deem to be worthy, then they're feeling okay. They're feeling good. Now, you do have some women that they do get a high off of trying to control a man. I've had many kinds of women in my lifetime that I've dealt with, and not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. And up until the last couple years, it was, oh, I can work with that if she, if she's on the path, it's fine. It's like, no. No, not anymore. Not anymore, man. Like, if there's someone that I can work with, okay, that's fine. But at this point, at my life, I've already built something for myself enough to the point to where I need a woman that is focused on family legacy over family leisure. I need a woman that is capable of counsel and not wanting to control me. This is the kind of woman that I need in my life. And yes, I'm saying that I need a woman. In all reality, godly men, wives out there, you really don't need anybody but Jesus. You really don't. It's true. Like, you really don't. But that's on the spiritual level. Okay? On the physical and emotional level, we do need everybody. Like, we need people. We all need people. We wouldn't be where we are without people. And people communicating with them as such helps us keep our sanity. And it's almost as if we are able to merge consciousness to some degree even greater than we already are. This is what marriage is, right? Marriage is a combination and a mergence or an emergence of one consciousness through fleshly intimacy while intertwining emotionally and spiritually. And me, myself, I used to have an attachment style of avoidant attachment. And so I would attract a lot of anxious attachment style women. And even nowadays, there are plenty of women that are both on all different scales of attachment. And this is something else that I've been really thinking about recently. It's almost like everybody is capable of certain kinds of attachment with each other. It's just a matter of how the other person brings out certain kinds of attachments. Because there's been some women where I've just felt very at ease. And that's very few, like very few, far and in between. But those women that I felt very much at ease, it's almost like, there's a song called You Ain't Going Nowhere by Bob Dylan. And in the lyrics, it says something like, we're going to fly right down into the easy chair or something like that. And that's the kind of feeling that I got with some of these women. And then you have other women where you talk to them and they say the words like thank you or I appreciate that or something like that, but you don't feel it, right? You don't feel it. So women out there, you've got to understand that not only do you have to say these things to a man, you have to demonstrate it. It is what it is at this point. It really is coming down to demonstrating behavior, because I've seen a lot. And I've seen a lot of different sides of women that I never thought would have ever existed. And for the longest time in my life, I liked people in general. Men and women, I liked people. But I never really trusted them. I never really did. And because almost every single time that I was able to give my trust to somebody, it was like I was immediately betrayed, or I was having the information that I gave them used to me as bullets, as I would say with the narcissistic individuals in my life. And so I became someone that was almost hardened in my heart. And over the last 3 years specifically, because my spiritual journey happened and started over 5 years ago now, and I started following Christ legitimately and more genuinely over 2 years ago. It wasn't over until the last 3 years or so when my heart softened again. And I'm still able to have a backbone. I'm still able to be a man. I still get the job done. You know, David Goggins has the saying, I don't stop when I'm tired, I stop when I'm done. And I've adopted that mindset in many ways and shapes and forms. And I don't take days off anymore. I don't. I don't need to at this point, because I'm active in my recovery. I don't call it rest necessarily. I call it recovery, because every time you exert a certain amount of force, you're going to have to recover from exerting that force. And you have to do that properly with proper nutrition, proper hydration, proper fluids, actually maybe ice cold showers, etc. And so out of everything men are doing in the world, like all of the blue collar jobs, let's say, women don't really appreciate that kind of stuff. And it's astounding to me, because how in the world are women who have not been trained to do these kinds of blue collar jobs, don't know anything about them, because the statistics show that over 90%, if not 95% of most of the blue collar jobs, and when I say blue collar jobs, I mean like bricklayers or like construction workers, etc., plumbers, etc. Most of the women are not involved in these kinds of professions, and yet they want to run the world. But at the same time, and these are not the godly women I'm speaking of, right? But at the same time, if we were to lose the men that operated these things, most of the world would completely deteriorate within the day. Like within the day. The power lines would be destroyed, the telephone poles, the traffic lights, stop signs, everything that we've had in our society. I don't know about just everything in general that when it comes to infrastructure would completely deteriorate. And if we lost those men, so I thank God for men like that, because I know what it's like to have that kind of job, and I know what it's like to work in those kinds of conditions. I know what it's like. I don't do it anymore, but I know what it's like, and I have a lot of respect for those kinds of jobs and those kinds of people that work those jobs. And I appreciate those, because I know that we would deteriorate pretty quickly if we lost those kinds of men. And so the reason that I'm saying that godly men are not waiting for unappreciative women is, why should they? Why should a man who's built himself up into the man he is, he's physically fit, he's emotionally stable, he's wise, he has experience in life, when it comes to real life shit, he knows how to get stuff done. Why should a man like that wait for a woman that just wants to play around in her 20s when she's at the height of her sexual market value and a man is just beginning in his? Why exactly women that are not traditional, that do not agree with this viewpoint, why should a man that is godly wait for a woman like you that wants to be a reformed 304? A reformed HOE. What and why should a godly man like that wait? That's really the question, isn't it? So, to all of the godly men out there and the actual warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women, I'm with you and I pray for you, my brothers and sisters, and peace be with you. Till next time. Actually, one more thing. I do want to announce that the Regal Change Academy is open and it's free to enroll. And we're going to have weekly calls starting today. And this is going to be an opportunity for you to grow as a person. This academy is built so that you can grow. It's not to use you so the academy can grow. And that's really what is making Regal Change different from a lot of the different kinds of education opportunities out there, or any kind of guru-like teaching or spiritual teaching at your, like with a local bishop or a pastor or whatever. We're not trying to grow the academy for the sake of growing the academy. We want you to be able to grow, because ultimately you growing physically, emotionally, and spiritually is going to help everybody else in the world do so, including myself. So this is one of the reasons why we want to stay focused on God. We want to stay focused on the family, and we want to build a community, a digital community, even if that's the case that we must take and the route that we must take. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're looking for. So if you want to enroll, there's going to be more information in the description box or the comment section below. And until next time, peace be with you.